Hey everybody, my name is Suke, welcome to Lead Guitar Workshop, and I want to talk about some unison bends. These are the essential building blocks to rock and blues guitar, and so often people aren't really fully capitalizing on what they are. So let's take a look. There's only two of them that you need to focus most of your attention on. One is based on the high E and the B strings, and one is on the B and the G. So what this is, a unison bend is a unison being the same. So we're starting with two different notes and moving one in to match the second. So it's really important to kind of understand that idea. It'll help you use it a little better. Most of the time, so often, we're using this in pattern 1 as the minor root note. That's where it's most common. So if I'm looking at E minor or E, blues, whatever, pattern 1 is up on the 12th fret. And if I put my first finger on the E, I'm gonna bend with my third finger on the D string, on the D note, excuse me. So the first step to getting a good unison bend is making sure that the two notes sound separately together. That doesn't make any sense, right? I mean like this. Ooh, it's really gnarly, right? So what's happening is I'm playing a D note here and an E note under this finger. And together, they're a whole step apart, so they're pretty dissonant. I like to use my third finger when I bend, and I use the middle to help push, because I want to make that pinky available for other things later we'll talk about. So when you bend this note, you have to start, the tricky part is bending the B string while maintaining the high E string. And I have a little extra distortion on. Did you hear the pitch come into tune? This is a great way to learn how to listen to tunings between pitches. If you think of a sine wave as just a representation of the motion of the sound, you want the two to come together. I feel like kind of dancing, right? If they're not, they do this. And every time they cross, we hear a boop. I call a beating sound. So watch, let me do it again, and you'll hear the beating sound disappear as it gets closer to the same note. So right now, they're exactly the same note. And if I release the bend, hear that fast? There. Now, the good news is we want some of that fight in there. That's what gives the snarl. If people add vibrato, it's because it's the vibrato is peppering in that dissonance. And that alone is its own difficulty with this seemingly simple move, is people add vibrato on the bend. Some people are very gratuitous about it. That's really, kind of shaking the whole thing up a bit. So it's a tricky thing to get. Again, make sure you can put both fingers down first, then make sure they're both sounding. Then you have to practice bending the B string up a whole step till it matches the first note. It's actually a great way to exercise just the bending note. So if you can do a good unison bend, then in general, you'll get a good bend as well. And if you notice, when you bend, you really have to be comfortable holding the bend up. Just put it up there. Cool, maybe check your email or something like that. That has to be very confident, and for bending, it's in the wrist, right? It's a little bit of the torque more so than finger push-ups. The other unison bend is on the B and the G string. It's the same musical concept, but it's a fret closer because of the string tuning of that B string. So I'm on the B note on the 12th fret of the B string, and my third finger is going to be on the previous string. In this case, it's an A. Same thing we talked about with the other one. You have to, this one's easier to hold down together, but they have to both make sound before you even start bending. Now you can start pushing the third string while maintaining the steady B string. And if you overdo a bend, you'll hear that beating come back in. So it's really hard, it's actually great for your ear, but it's hard to get used to and listening to these two things equaling out as you do it. The very first thing I would do is just get used to playing it and getting it sort of into pitch. Then try it on the B and the G string. At this point, once you get a device kind of in your hand a little bit, especially if this is new to you, immediately put on a backing track or self-generate and jam with yourself to practice it, right? So if you did something like... 2, 3, 4. You know, just kind of get it in motion, start adding it into licks a little bit just to start incorporating it into your vocabulary. So the other part of these things is you want to get used to separating them or playing them together. I call it monophonic and polyphonic. These are polyphonic, right? Because the two notes are simultaneously doing this. But you can separate them into a different sound like this, which is very common. It's very important when you do separate them to actually separate the sound of the notes. Otherwise, it can sound a little agitated and congested. So right when I start bending, the other one. Now the art and the beauty of bends is the in-between, what you do and how you get from here to here. Some people are very chirpy and very bright. I always think of Robbie Krieger on Roadhouse Blues. And you hear this. It's very quick and chirpy kind of sounding, versus some people really milk it. Once you're comfortable, you go in and out of the polyphonic and the monophonic. Right, there's a lot in there, man. It's such a simple thing that we overlook these things so early on because we think all those extra golden nuggets are beyond this information. It's not. It's you have to get to know the information you know already better. Now, the last thing I would say to start thinking about is moving this idea. So some people go up and down scales, like David Gilmour at the end of Comfortably Numb. It ends up being a guide tone line, but he follows B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp, all with unison bends. Then the D, E, F sharp. Hendrix does the same thing. At the end of All on the Watchtower. Now, when you move them away from the root note, when we did that whole step unison bend, part of that sound is the root of the scale with a flat 7 matching it. Or it's often the 5th of the scale with the 4th coming up to match it. But in this sense, when Gilmour and Hendrix are moving around a little bit, you have to think of it as a strong single note. In that case, you have to play them quickly. So you don't hear the first note going into the second, but just kind of a glorified first note. Right, that will give the effect of it. Other than that, these bends can happen all the way down. Even the open E, so in this case the D note on the B string to the open E string. And the same one between the open B string and the A, I use my middle finger down here. All right, man. Well, Unison Bends, they are the absolute building block to rock and blues guitar, and you have to be comfortable with them and sound relaxed and good, and they sing and they're guttural, and these are all the types of sounds that other instruments just can't quite do as well as guitar. All right, so my name is Suke. This is Lead Guitar Workshop. Hit up our website, leadguitarworkshop.com. Sign up on our mailing list. We have freebies we give away. We have books. We do lessons. And I'm here to help you guys play some better guitar. A lot of times we've missed some of these beginner things that are so essential. We often miss them when we go by looking for things that glow a little bigger. All right, well, have fun, keep playing, and I'll see you guys out there. See? I keep holding it.